Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I hope all is doing okay this morning. I think it's still morning over the East Coast. Let me check my sound. If you guys enjoy what I'm putting down, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through Patreon. My wife likes to say even $1 helps support the content. All right, so interesting development, and I was first alerted to this by Vince Sorey. Vince Sorey has a channel himself. They talk about music. There is a more religious bent to it, but they get into politics every now and then. Apparently, 90% of what I say he disagrees with, but he watches the show. And on this, I think him and I have a like mind. This is one of those, that 10% that we agree on. A few days ago, Bernie Sanders, or Amazon, increased the wages of the people who are working there $15 an hour, effective next month. SWIFT, the totalitarian state movement, the movement of a totalitarian state. SWIFT, easy, because it's a choice of a small group of people over a large mass of human beings. That's great. Bernie Sanders has been hitting them relentlessly. And he's been hitting them for the right reasons. Your workers are barely making ends meet, and you're a welfare queen. Jeff Bezos, the welfare queen, the $150 billion welfare queen. Why don't you pay your people a decent wage? Now, Bernie Sanders asked that question rhetorically because he already knows the answer. Jeff Bezos would not have $150 billion if Jeff Bezos paid his people a decent wage. Amazon is able to make what it makes. Jeff Bezos is able to make what it makes in a small number of people who are at the top of that company that makes decisions for that company are able to make what they make through the exploitation of the people who are working at that company. When they increased the wage for $15 an hour, I came on this show and I gave a tepid applause. Now, my tepid applause had more to do with you did this because you were pushed to do it, not because you did it out of the kindness of your heart. Meaning, from the standpoint of a capitalist, I do things because it maximizes my profit. And insofar as something doesn't impugn my profit, I'm not going to do those things. Bernie Sanders made working for Amazon somewhat of an uncomfortable prospect. But Bernie Sanders was just responding to the people themselves who are at Amazon. Amazon took its great wealth, and instead of initially paying those people a decent wage, instead started hiring paid trolls to go online and lie to other human beings. It's like people writing dishonest reviews because they're paid to do it. You end up in a hotel like, what the fuck? This place was supposed to look like the Ritz-Carlton, and it's in the back of somebody's basement. Fucking reviewer. I gave him tepid applause. This is what Bernie Sanders said. Let's hear what Bernie Sanders had to say. Where are you, Sanders? Come on. I have a ton of stories that there are. The last one is the one at the end.
These employees are so low that many of them are forced to go on food stamps, Medicaid, and subsidized housing and other governmental programs. Today, I want to give credit where credit is due. And I want to congratulate Mr. Bezos for doing exactly the right thing. Today, he has raised the minimum wage at Amazon and Whole Food effective next month. He has raised that minimum wage to $15 an hour, and that applies not only to full-time workers at Amazon, but to part-time workers and temporary workers as well. Further, Mr. Bezos has indicated his support for raising the national minimum wage, and as someone who has introduced a $15 an hour federal minimum wage, I very much look forward to working with him in this area. Let me take this opportunity to thank the many hundreds of Amazon workers who contacted our office talking about the wages and working conditions that they were employed under. And we also want to take this opportunity to thank the heroes and heroines at the Fight for 15 movement, a movement which started off in the fast food industry a number of years ago, but it
You get the point. Effusive praise for Bezos and Amazon. Great of you to raise this. Carrot and the stick. I'm going to hit you with this stick, and then once you do what I tell you to do, yes, this is the greatest thing this person has ever done. Good job, etc., etc. I was more tepid in my praise. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. I like showing people stuff. Sometimes I don't know if they've seen certain things. Look at this. Amazon becomes the second company to reach $1 trillion. Can you imagine that amount of money? $1 trillion. Coming up, $54 million. This was July 2018. Amazon estimates its revenue for the third quarter, just the quarter, $54 billion. Can they afford to pay their people $15 an hour? Yes, Amazon can absolutely afford to pay their people $15 billion an hour. What does it translate to from the standpoint of Jeff Bezos? $161 billion. One man has $160 billion. And I know, look at this one. I didn't understand this one, but I had to read the caption. Essentially, the federal government spent $5.8 billion on homelessness in the fiscal year of 2017 budget. One man has more money than the federal government spends on homelessness for the entire year. And not just more money by a factor of what, 20 or more. It's actually more than 20. More money than the Olympics of 2016. Yes, I'm bathing in this because I want this to sink in. More money than an entire Apollo program. He has more money than it took to put a man on the goddamn moon. Jeff Bezos by himself. More money than the entirety of World War I. The UK in World War II. Hollywood's profit for the past 3 years. Microsoft had $22.3 billion in operating income and $90 billion in profit last year. Jeff Bezos has more money than the entire profit of Microsoft for the entirety of last year. Boeing, poor slobs, only made $25 billion. Our nation's capital has a GDP of $93.82 billion, much closer to our city's other billionaire, Bill Gates. The United States territory has a GDP of only $103 billion. Puerto Rico, that is. Croatia's GDP. Bill Gates by himself, more money than the entirety of Croatia. And the NFL. The NFL revenue was only $14 billion. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos by himself. I'm trying to make a simple point. Should one person have that much cash? Should one person have that much resources, especially when it is exploited or expropriated from the workers themselves? Right here, one more scene. The next shoe to drop was this. Amazon warehouse workers lose bonuses and stock awards for the raises. Essentially, the way that they're going to up the money for some is to take it from others. They're going to level out bonuses and stock awards and set everybody's revenue or people's revenue to 15 with I think it's like a modest increment in amount. But ultimately, there were some people who were like, people are saying they're taking a hit in order for other people to do better. And you ask this question, why does $1 trillion company need to do that at all? Why does a company that has just reached $1 trillion need to do that? Fact is, the only way they can be $1 trillion company is if they do that. I'm asking, is that the system that you want? Take one of my Vince Sori hit me up with a Facebook post. As an Amazon warehouse worker, this just made my fucking day. I haven't heard any updates on the pay structure at my site yet. I currently make $15.75, which was the top rate for the night shift, but this will help me out so much. Thank you, Amazon. They were excited. You can imagine they would be excited if they thought, yes, I'm getting a pay raise. Edit. My pay rate is $15. The extra 75 cents is the night shift differential. Edit number 2. I jinxed myself. Basically, I found out from my site that I'll be getting $1 raise, but they were taking away our incentive pay every month and RSU stocks. So basically, those of us who have been here for years aren't going to see any type of pay increase. If anything, we'll be seeing lower pay, as we were supposed to have 16% incentive pay for the peak season. I am now pretty livid. Why does $1 trillion company need to do this? They don't need to do this. They do it because they want to remain $1 trillion company. There's something fundamentally wrong with your system that operates that way. Why don't the people who make the products, who do the actual labor, get the benefits of the labor that they do? Meaning, shouldn't a person who works at the factories, I make this argument, and because I make it from the standpoint of the people who work in society should benefit from the society itself. Why on earth do you put so much wealth into the hands of the top 1%? Jeff Bezos is $150 billion. That is ungodly sum of money for a person to have. Ungodly sum of money. And somebody with that much cash feels the need to kick people at the bottom of the income scale in order to maintain it. I gave them tepid praise for a reason. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Waiting for the other shoe to drop. So, nevertheless, I will say this though. Between not increasing it to 15, this is better. This is better. I would imagine there are going to be a lot of people who would have been making much, much less, who end up with the $15 base wage. By the same token, yes, the people who were at the margins are taking it. They didn't have to do that. Did not have to do that. They could keep those bonuses. Yeah, of course I could keep those bonuses. Are you telling Amazon, of course, can pay for that? Why is it considered more work for an adult to hit a ball for 15 minutes than a kid working in mines for yes? Yes, agreed. Kalita, agreed. Agreed. Tepid, the evil word. That evil word, I know, right? Jamarl Thomas, I'm curious, doesn't the government need people as its current form to be weakened financially, which will stop them from rebelling and give, who said that? Did Greenspan say that? That insecurity helps keep down rebellions? The irony of it is, it's kind of a yes and a no. It's, yeah, if people are working their ass off to make ends meet, but at the same token, if you reach a point where it doesn't seem to be that way, where you get a certain degree of chaos. But yeah, man. All right, I'm going to end this. Unionize, yes. But my argument here, I think, goes a little bit more towards this thing of why not? Why give them the money in the first place? Like, look, if you tell somebody they can set their salary, they're going to set their salary. And if somebody is at the top, they have every incentive in the world to pay his people as little as they possibly can. Anybody would do it. I mean, even people who consider themselves enlightened, whatever, lefties, may give them people a decent wage, but it's going to be a decent wage that's contingent upon how much they think they can bear. Like, I'm making a point that the system itself is structured in a way. If I was hiring a videographer, I have to hire a videographer based on what I can pay the videographer. Even if I was balling, I might say, oh man, I can't afford to lose but X for this particular thing, meaning I still need to pay somebody as least as possible in order to get the most I can do. It's a cost-benefit analysis that's just built into the structure of the system itself. There's some people who resist it a little bit better than others, but ultimately, the stream goes in a particular direction. My point in this is keeping this friction in your society with this idea of a union and an employer just keeps the contradiction in the system itself. You don't need the employer. There will always be people there who may be better at a particular task than somebody else. So it's not get rid of all hierarchy whatsoever. The argument here that I'm making is you don't need the elite component to that. You need people who can do the job and people who can do the task, but the workers themselves can run the plant themselves. You don't need management. You're perfectly suited to do it yourself. You can perfectly make choices for the company and everything else. Your wages will be higher, and not just wages higher, you have more agency of the company that you work. Also, your company would never sell itself abroad because you have people who actually work at that company, or the people who own the company work at the company. It's a different model of thinking about the way we organize ourselves. In that system of organization, Jeff Bezos never gets $150 billion. And it's not you have to tax the money from Jeff Bezos, because Jeff Bezos just never get $150 billion. No company of people who own shares of that company, meaning workers, would ever give any other worker $150 billion. It's a different way of organization, but it's one that makes more sense in compared to the way that we're organized now. It's like kings and queens. It's like I'm bestowed by some kind of majesty. Well, no, you got a lot of people, you've conned a lot of people into thinking that you're some kind of queen or some kind of king. It's nonsense. Same thing with the elites. You don't need them. You don't need them. All right, I'm going to end this. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through Patreon. Thanks all.